everybody, and welcome to another TTRPG panel. And today we are talking about making your first game. We have some incredible designers here that I'm going to introduce you to in just a second. But before I do, this is my obligatory plug to be like, hey, if you like these panels, you can support us on Patreon by doing !Patreon in chat or going to the link in the description if you're watching this later on YouTube. Keep these parties rolling because they're a good time and we're all gonna learn some stuff. Speaking of, hi guys.
Hi.
So
Hi.
I'm
Hi.
I'm gonna introduce you clockwise, and then right off the bat, I'm gonna ask you a question, which is always my secret agenda. Which is I'm gonna ask you to recommend a game to me, something that you find interesting or inspiring, or that you just really think I should know about. Okay, so Emily, you're up first. So, Emily is an Iraqi British voice actor, TTRPG game designer, and illustrator whose passion for being a little gremlin turned into a full time career in the tabletop world. Co founded and performed in an award winning actual play podcast and has been nominated twice for Best Player, and now has published her first TTRPG about, you may have guessed it, being a little gremlin. Hi, Emily.
Hello.
Uh,
Thank you so much. And oh my goodness, the game I think I want to talk about that I get excited about is a game called Ivory Tower. I am not biased because I did the layout for it in any way. It's a really cool game where you get to be an incredibly powerful mage in a wizard's tower, having council meetings with other powerful mages about how to run and save the crumbling city at the base of your tower. And the whole thing is like done with like proper minutes. It's really like
Oh my
hyper
God.
political. You like discuss and you're trying to make plans, and it's like I've never seen anything like it. It's if you love that kind of just like having these like really in-depth and serious meetings, you were like in a model UN when you were a kid, like this is the game for you. It's so good. You should check it out. Ivory Tower. Yes.
that's I was recently talking to my partner about how it's amazing how I've played TTRPG for so much and never LARPed. And then my partner was like, "What about all those model UNs you did?"
That-
And I was like,
so, Anne, this is explicitly for you, this game.
I used to run the model UN at my school. I was
Oh,
the only-
amazing, amazing.
Oh, okay, yeah, this
It's so
one's
good.
for me.
Yes. Explicitly for Anne. It was created just for you.
Okay, continuing around the clock, we have Sam Lee. Samantha Lee is a tabletop game designer and editor. Sam is the owner of Blinking Birch Games and is best known for her solo RPGs, including Anamnesis and Death of the Author. They've contributed to writing many other games too, such as Cloud Empress and The Zone. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Do you have a game for me?
I
That's
do.
specifically for me, or is this one for everybody?
I think this game can be, well, we'll see. I'd like to recommend Spine by Backwards Tabletop. Um, it's a solo game that I played recently to like offer a pull quote on it. And I fell in love with this game. This game is awesome. It's basically written kind of like a book, but it's about you as the reader getting like sucked into the book. Any more would actually kind of be spoilers. And you kind of go back and forth between these end notes that tell you to do different things, and you might end up like ripping pages of the book, or you write all over it, and then when you're done, you can like give it to somebody else or do what I did and leave it in a little free library on your street just for somebody to find. And it's just a great game. Highly recommend Spine.
Okay, so my day job is I'm a librarian.
Ah, yes, there you go.
Um,
Another game just for you.
I think this game is, you're like, it has endnotes. I'm like,
Oh, it's the subtitle of this. It's like Spine, Immortality in 99 Endnotes is what it's actually called. So,
Wow.
yep,
I- more games need footnotes and citations, I
fully
think.
agree.
Um, okay, thank you so much. My shopping cart is filling as we speak. And then, last but certainly not least, we have Elliot Davis, aka More Blueberries, is a Brooklyn-based award-winning game designer, podcaster, and artist who loves all things weird and wonderful about the TTRPG industry. He is known for such releases as Project ECCO, rom-com drama bomb, and the
Woo!
time we have. And when he's not losing sleep over a new game idea, you can hear him play, host, GM, and more at the podcast My First Dungeon and Talk at the Table, which he produces as part of the Many-Sided Media team. Hi, Elliot.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Um,
you for being here. Now, game, please.
Game, please.
Thank you.
I'm gonna recommend what I think is a perfect game. And it's Last Train to Bremen by Caro Assertion. I think is like one of the few games. I love many games, but when I played Last Train to Bremen, I walked away being like, "That's a perfect game." If you don't know the premise, it's about four cursed musicians that made a deal with the devil, and then that deal comes to bear, and they are on a train to Bremen, the town, as they work out all of their interpersonal drama from years of being musicians that were made wildly successful by a deal with the devil. It's powered by Liar's Dice, which is also like my favorite pickup game to bring out in a group of people. So Last Train to Bremen, Caro Assertion, physical edition's coming out soon, and it's just a perfect game.
I had this game recommended to me 5 different times this week when I was asking for games that people thought I would like
Dang.
that were GM-less games.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, the Holy Trinity is completed. Thank you so much.
We fucking smashed it. That's great.
Yeah. Now the ruse is up. These panels are literally just for me. Hey, audience, this is just for me. Thanks for showing up. Okay, but no, this is a real panel, I promise. And we're going to start with our first question, which is, in a short version, how did you get started in game design? How did this happen? How did you make the leap? And whoever wants to speak, go ahead.
There you go. I was playing a lot of games. And then I learned about the indie scene actually through Kickstarter because I was on Kickstarter looking for like D&D stuff, and then I saw all these other projects and I was like, hang on a second. Really went into the rabbit hole and was designing within like 6 months. I really it drew me in because it was an intersection of a lot of things I already enjoyed between gaming and writing and acting. It just like all kind of, and also kind of the logic of like the puzzle solving of trying to figure out mechanics that work for your game, and it was all just like stuff that I already enjoyed all combined into one. So gave it a shot.
Amazing. I could go next. So one word, Vesson. Got me into game design. Completely selfishly, when Vesson came out, I thought it was the answer to my dreams. I wanted a game where I could be a really cool monster. Listen, we're all monster lovers. I know it, like I see it. But it wasn't. It was another game where you hunted the monsters, and I was very sad. And so I wanted to make a game where I could actually be the bad guy for once. I could actually be the monster. And I also wanted a game that wasn't too crunchy, but also wasn't too simple. It didn't have structure. So it was a purely selfish endeavor for me. I wanted a game that wasn't out there. And so I made it. That's why I got into TTRPGs.
Incredible.
And I'll keep this short because it's a lot of factors, but one of those factors is on this call, which is always a delight for me. Sam Lee on TikTok talking
Yeah.
about indie games is one of the ways I discovered indie games. And then when Sam crowdfunded Anamnesis was one of the things that inspired me to then join Zine Month that next February. So I don't know if I've told you that before. I'm sure I have, but like Sam and other TikTokers was a lot of how I discovered the world of indie games. And then Zine Month 2022 was like this is a community-led event that I think I can take the plunge in. And I made a little 16-pager, and then I was fully addicted.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. I feel like we really covered the like discovery, the inspired by other media, inspired by other people, and then just spite, which I think is
That sums
incredibly
me up,
powerful.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, never underestimate the importance of spite in the creative endeavor. Um, okay, so my question for you is: imagine perhaps that I'm someone who's doesn't know much about game design, and I'm like interested. What is the first step when you're designing a game? Do you start with like a system or a story idea or a vibe or a vision or a message from the great beyond? Like, how does this happen? How does the game start process start?
Yes, all of those, I think. I don't know, at least for me, I feel like it's very different project to project, like where something starts, and
Mm,
I can identify projects that started as mechanics, projects that started as titles, just titles. Rom-Com Drama
mhm.
Bomb was a game that started as a title, and then I was like, "Hey, what
great.
is that?" And then, like, sometimes it's just, like, vibes or, like, a particular kinda story, like, I want people to tell. But I think it's the lesson there for me is I just listen to the stupid thoughts that come to my head, whether it's a title, a mechanic, or a theme, and I keep a very extensive notes app full of ideas, no matter how bad they are. I have a note that's just one line ideas, and that's the dump for sentences that just pop into the brain.
The notes app is important, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. Um,
Absolutely.
that's great because I am very different in the sense that, like, all of mine I think literally all of my games start as a concept first in terms of, well, a concept, like a theme, a story, a like a narrative concept, I should say.
Mm,
And then once I know what the narrative concept is, I try to figure out, okay, like if I want the story to be about um an author and a character fighting with each other, or if I want it to be about exploring a sci-fi planet, then
mm,
what system, like what how do I make that work? How do I make it feel? How do I make a game feel like you're doing that through the mechanics? So I've never started mechanics first. I've always
yeah.
started um narrative concept first and then kind of figured it out from there. So um always fascinates me when people do start mechanics first because I'm like, "Whoa." Like, that's like, my brain doesn't operate in that
Yeah.
way, and I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a vibes first. I have a feeling about something I would love to play and then figure out how to play it afterwards. But I don't think there's a hard and fast rule to how you should start. It just what works for you. Sometimes it starts with, like I said, a title, and then you work out the vibes and the feelings afterwards. You could be like, I want to play a game where I get to roll a fistful of dice. How
Mm,
can I make that fun?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, for me, it's definitely vibes. As I said before, it was like I want to be a little guy, but also I want to be a giant monster guy. How can I put these together? How can I make it all happen at once?
I think
Um,
the yeah, oh.
no, no, I finished. You carry on.
I think the big thing is just, like, latching on to whatever you're excited about,
Yeah.
and so, whether that's the concept, whether if you have an idea for a mechanic and you're like, "Absolutely," or whether it's like, "I just love the feeling of that fistful
Mhm.
of dice, and I just wanna be able to
Mhm.
do that all the time," like, it's just whatever it is that most excites you about it, start there, and then kind of craft around it, I would say.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So, it's kinda like you start wherever there's a starting point, and there's, like, a bajillion different starting points, but you kinda just have to pick a place and then go outwards from there. So
Yeah.
whether that's, like, the theme or a cool mechanic you came up with or something like that, it's like you just find a corner and then just start laying tile in front of you,
Yeah,
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, or throwing tile around the room.
yeah, or,
Oh
like,
my
building the train track as you're on the train.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
or
fog of
leave it
war slowly recedes. That kind of thing.
or just, like, unhinged voice notes to your friends at 3 a.m.
Yes,
of,
yes.
like, important
Yeah.
part of the process.
Yeah, those exist.
Okay, so imagine that I have a vibe. I'm
Mhm.
like, I know exactly the vibe I want to do, but maybe I don't know a ton about mechanics or I've played
There's many different games as you can get your hands on. There are so many really interesting, and like just between the three of us, a bunch of indie games you can get your hands on that are all different, and they play differently, different mechanics. Start there. Just go to your local game store, pick up some, judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? Just pick ones that look cool,
I'm with
and
you
then
there.
just like play them out and see what happens. I've learned so much just from playing different games and then going, that mechanic's cool. How can I take something like that and put it in my game? That's I think that's like top tier advice from me for that, for sure.
I would say I would add on to that and say that even if you don't have a lot of time to play a lot of games, even just reading reading games will give you so
100%.
much insight into what goes on in different game designers' heads and into what different mechanics exist out there. And like there is an element of it that you're not always going to get when reading. You're not always going to know exactly how it feels when it plays, but some stuff you do get the sense of for sure just by reading it, and it can really open up the brain to a lot of new ideas.
Yeah. And people have probably made a mechanic for the thing you're trying to make a mechanic for. So like when you get specific on a thing, like seek out the games and the sections of games where like it's like, oh, this is how this person figured out like faction dynamics, and I can learn a lot about like mechanizing faction dynamics from this person, and like maybe playing cards is the right call for that, maybe not, but like somebody has probably tackled that problem in a way, and you can learn from what they've done already.
Another really great resource out there, especially if you're somebody who's like, I want to make a game, but I feel a little like nervous about the mechanics, or I'd like to kind of use like a predefined set of mechanics, is look at system reference documents or SRDs. These are documents that game designers will make that is basically like, hey, here's kind of generally what this game system that I made uses. So if you want to make something that uses this system, then you can reference that document to kind of give ideas to branch off of. So, and those documents are intentionally made by designers to help other people make games in those systems. People love when you use their SRDs, like
Yes.
And you can like do it exactly as it's written. You can kind of modify it into your own thing. Obviously, just like give credit towards SRD, but it's a great way to first of all explore other game systems, just to read some of those documents, and then also just to like give yourself a framework to work in.
Yeah. And just like an addition to that, don't feel like it's a failing that you're using someone else's system. Like the Cunning Folk was going to be a Powered by the Apocalypse hack initially when I started writing it. And there's nothing wrong with starting with something, and if you outgrow it, that's great, but you can stick with it. Like there are so many incredible hacks on original systems, so do not be ashamed of using an existing one. Yeah.
I've published a Wretched and Alone game before, so
There you go.
fully, yep.
And I mean, not to me to being y'all are so positive. I'm gonna be the negative Nancy side of this too. Is that you're like part of the inspiration too might be playing a game and finding the mechanics that don't work for you or that you
Yeah.
don't vibe with. And
Yeah,
they're like, oh, sometimes that can be just as valuable. Like they always say for like writers, sometimes the books you don't enjoy teach you more than the books you do when you're
Yes.
reading. And
Yes.
so I can see how that would work too, just so you're like, but I want to be the monster and like those kinds of things come up again.
Yeah.
That's fun. Okay. Now on to this is me stirring the pot a little bit. So, what are some aspects of game I'll say game design, but I'm going to say game making because it's more than just the design, it's the whole everything around it too. That people and people can be you, but it could be other people if either like overestimate or underestimate the importance of. Or, if you were early on in that process, what's something you thought was going to be like, this is going to be so important for this game and ended up not super mattering, or vice versa?
I think people underestimate, and I think some people will disagree with this like pretty strongly, but I think people underestimate the importance of product design and thinking about your game as a product. I think it's very important. I think that like it's about usability, it's about sellability, and if your game is sellable and usable, people will play it. Like, and I very much think of it as part of game design, which is, I think, where people might disagree with me. But I'm like, not always when I'm making a game am I thinking about product design, but it inevitably comes to there where I'm like, what is the best physical version of this that makes the game experience easiest, most satisfying, like most what I'm trying to capture. So I think that's underestimated, like as an important thing.
So I'm asking for the audience who might not know versus me who definitely knows. When you say product design, what does that mean per se?
Totally. Yeah. So like when you think about the form factor of your game, is this game going to make the most sense as a zine? Is it going to make the most sense as a digest zine? Or is it makes most sense as an A6 zine? Is it a deck of cards? Is it a box game? Like, what is going into the production when you bring it to print? Like, does it lay flat because it needs to be referenced easily the whole time? Like, these are all like those little decisions that you can think about to take the game from like, this is great, this is a great design with a great experience, to how can I make the person who buys this have the easiest, most fun time with it.
100%.
Thank you.
I would people, which way around am I doing this? Okay. I think people put too much, they overestimate how important having unique mechanics are. So like it touches on the previous question. People try so hard to make their game unique in the mechanics aspect, and they're underestimating how important the thematics of your product and your game should be, because people will, I've seen it a lot of times where people have really gone out of their way to make something completely new, and it just doesn't seem to match up with the game and the story they're trying to tell. It's like the theme is just kind of like a little add-on afterwards, but they just want to show how clever they've been with their mechanics. And to me, that's kind of the wrong way around, and we've discussed that already. But do not underestimate the importance of explaining your rules in a way that people will understand, because it may make sense to you and you know it inside out because you designed it, but please, for the love of God, give it to someone who doesn't play many games or TTRPGs and ask them if they can understand what you're trying to tell them. Don't give it to a veteran player because they'll be able to kind of see through what you're trying to say. Give it to someone who's like a newbie, who doesn't really know much about TTRPGs, and say like, do you understand this? Does this make any sense to you? And get their feedback on that, because I'm sure you've all read core rule books where you're just like, what the heck does that mean? And then you're having to try and find somewhere in an index where it refers to some kind of thing somewhere else, and you're trying to piece it together yourself, and that's not fun, and it's not a good experience. So that's my biggest thing. Do not underestimate how you need to try and explain things as clearly as possible for people. Yes.
Emily, we have like same brain, because my overestimate, underestimate, very, very similar. I to add to that, I think for overestimating in terms of like, overestimating the mechanics of the theme, I also think that a lot of people like dealing with this theme of uniqueness. How unique is your game? I think that is something generally that is often overestimated, and that is very easy to get stuck on.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to theme too, because there are, you might have an idea for a game, you might be really excited about it, it might be something that you're really passionate about, but you learn and see that somebody has made a game that has like the same theme or a very similar theme, and you might think, oh well, like that already exists, nobody's gonna look at this, whatever. Wrong. Make it.
Wrong.
Make the game.
Yes. Yes.
Like, because I always think about that that like meme or whatever, the two cakes, it's like, somebody's already brought a cake, but somebody comes to the table and they're like, oh, there's two cakes.
Yeah.
And so like one of the big reasons is because you're going to make that game and it's going to be a different game than this game. Like, even if the games have the same theme, even if they're kind of revolving around a lot of the same like narrative concept, you are a different person and you're going to write that game differently, which makes it valuable. And so like, whether the mechanics are different, whether your tone is different, like the biggest thing is just like make what you're passionate about, even if somebody's made something similar before.
Mhm.
Obviously, like the caveat to that is, if you are like taking direct inspiration from somebody else's work, then it's always good to like call that out, to say that, to like give credit where credit is due. But if it's more of like a, oh, I've got this concept, oh no, somebody else has done it, do it, still do it.
Mhm.
It's like it's always, I think it's really fascinating to see how different people design similar things in different ways.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and there's whole
Also,
jams around individual themes. Sorry, Anne.
Absolutely.
no, I was gonna
Mhm.
agree with you, and I'm like, there are sickos like me who do wanna play every single variation of, like, this is a story, and it's about queer people and their messy relationships, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll play every fucking one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
ca it's like,
Many of
I
those
don't
out there. Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm in." I'm like, "You don't that I'm here, I'm sad." And so I think too, like, it doesn't matter to me. I've never in my life have I thought, "Oh, I've already played that game." I'm like, "No." That's like forever good soup. "Oh, we have so many cakes at the table, and I'm
Yeah.
thrilled."
Yeah.
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 You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
would
why we
also
have
add
things like
oh, sorry.
Souls-like. Sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, just adding on to that. Souls-like is a term for a reason because things are like Souls games because people like
People
Souls
like them so
games.
much.
That's a great
Yeah.
point.
There you go.
Yeah. I would add on the overestimation thing is people overestimate. I'm going to contrast my underestimation because what I underestimated makes it sound like you need to make your thing look perfect, and I think people overestimate the need for aesthetic perfectness for their
Mm,
game. So I'm gonna contrast myself here because I think that it's like, I am somebody who loves art and I love product design and I love things to look beautiful and be full of
mm,
beautiful art. People will play your game even if it is not full of $10,000 of commissioned beautiful art. You will find people who will love your game. So I think it's like you don't need to overestimate the need to make it look perfect, especially your first game. Like your first game can be a Word doc functionally with like a couple bits of like stock domain art. And
mhm.
people will still probably play it if they're down with the vibe, down with the theme. So don't overestimate the need to make it look like some imagined aesthetic that you need to be a game.
That speaks to my heart. Thank you very much.
I've for sure done layout in Word doc before.
Yeah.
Same.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
I just like I think what the thing that awoke my hubris of like maybe I can make games was getting the original like Honey Heist, which is just like handwritten
Mm,
on a piece of
Yes.
printer paper with
Yes.
things like crossed out, and I'm like,
Yes.
how is this game? And it was I was like, this game's like famous. Like I heard this on like the Adventure Zone or something, and I'm like, and
Yeah.
this is the game? Are you kidding me? Um, and I'm like, oh shit! Like it doesn't. And I'm with you, like, I love pretty games. Like,
mm,
I'm a love like, I have definitely bought games just purely as art pieces. Um, but I also think on the other side of the things, like, sometimes it can just be a piece of printer paper and a ballpoint pen, and so you just cross things out and get some white out, and that's the game, baby. And that's
love it.
also just a different kind of cake and put it on the table.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cupcakes are great. Love cupcakes.
Love
Right.
cupcakes. Um, okay. This has all been very inspiring. I would like to have my hope shattered, please. Um, what, what obstacles and challenges did you face like early on in when you got into making games?
I
Like
think
what went wrong?
What didn't go wrong?
a big one is just plain lack of knowledge. And it depends on like what level of, depends on what you want your final product to look like, is how much like knowledge that requires to get there. So if you're, making a Word document and you're putting it on itch.io, like that's a more simple process if you are commissioning a layout artist and an artist and doing a print run and crowdfunding it and all of that stuff. It wasn't an like insurmountable hurdle, but when you're coming up against like when you want to make something and you just genuinely do not know how to get there because you don't have the knowledge for it, it can be daunting. Um, and I know that like when I brought my first game to print, I was doing all of this stuff for the first time. Didn't
Mm,
know anything about any of it. Didn't have a background that related to any of it. Fully was just like Googling things, and importantly, asking people. I reached out to a lot of other designers who I knew, whose work I appreciated, and was like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this thing. Can I ask you some questions about Kickstarter or about printer paper, like printing paper, like what page, what is a page width? I don't know what that means." And people, if you ask, almost everybody will be like so delighted to help. Like people are, especially because like all of us have been there before, and so most people, if you ask them a question about any piece of the design process, they're so happy to like share their wisdom with you.
Agreed. Like my biggest challenge was from someone who has a lot of issues asking for help. My biggest challenge was that I couldn't really do it alone. When I tried and I got to a point and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing now, because like Sam, I didn't have a background in it. I was really new to the whole thing. It was the first time I've ever attempted it. First time I'd interacted with Kickstarter on the other side. It was a hot mess. So surrounding myself with people who were really supportive and were willing to help and connected me to other people who had the knowledge was incredible. The one piece of advice I would give is like, do not be afraid to sort of just reach out and ask someone. Because like the amount of times where I was like, oh, they don't want to be bothered. Oh, they don't, I couldn't possibly ask this person for help. And then they'd be really annoyed that I didn't. So I've had people reach out to me since, and I love it every time. So if you have any questions or aren't sure, like I'm sure any of us here on this panel would be really happy to answer a question. But I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I'm always happy to get a DM here and there. But yeah, I just reach out and ask for help. Yeah, I can't. Sam wrapped it up pretty nicely, but yeah, for me that was the biggest challenge, trying to do it on my own. You don't have to do things alone. Okay, there are people there. There are people there who love you and want to support you.
It's often way more fun to not do it alone.
Often way
Exactly.
more fun.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the big one, lack of knowledge. I mean, I would add maybe like burnout is a tough thing that I've had to navigate in, less so that first chunk of time, but then like when you get to the second chunk of time of like being a game designer, once you're at your like, second, third, fourth game, you can start to just like you sprint often through your first game because you're so excited. Like you're like, I'm making a game, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do the layout, and I'm gonna kit bash public domain art, and then you've done that 3 times, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to make anything anymore. Like I've like worked myself to death, and then like, and then you like just the same solution to what you guys are talking about is like involve other people and also like create a healthy balance with your work, especially because a lot of people in like the first 2 years I did this was alongside a full-time job. It's easy to get burned out.
Yeah.
Hopping off of that too, one way that one way that you would reach burnout faster is comparing your work to other people's work.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, it is. That is
Huge.
huge. Yeah, it's easy to say to not do it, and it's harder to actually do it, to actually not compare yourself to others, but it's really important. There are some game designers out there whose like game output is just like, you look and you're like, how do they physically do that? How do they actually have like the time and the energy? Like I genuinely don't understand. And a lot of those people, if you talk to them, they're like, man, I am exhausted. I'm exhausted. I'm not sleeping. I'm so burnt out. I'm like, I have headaches every day. Like genuinely, it's so you never really know what's going on behind the scenes there. And it is like, it's really easy to compare yourself to other people in the game design space, but it's way nicer and healthier if you don't. And you just let yourself work at your pace, because your pace is the most important pace.
And we're all doing it to each other.
Yeah.
We're all comparing ourselves to each other. So it's like, no one's above anyone.
Be nice to yourselves, everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, my biggest challenge was genuinely me. I think I was giving myself arbitrary deadlines and
Mm.
timelines. And like Elliot got
Mhm.
so burnt out trying to hit them when I didn't need to. Um, it's fine if I miss their like the events or something like that. If I need an extra couple of months, that's okay, instead of trying to squeeze it all out by a certain deadline that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So yeah, the next time I do something, which will be coming soon, I will not be doing it the same way I did before, because I nearly died. So, so sometimes the challenge is you. That's my piece of advice.
Mhm.
Oh, my
Um,
Christmas bit. Hang on.
I can still hear you though.
Okay, hello.
Yeah. Yep.
I believe you'll come back in a
I will come
second.
back very soon.
Well, and I think that's really interesting too, because what we said about like, yeah, play as many games as possible, get as much inspiration. Like you got to find the joy in play, and then also that you wanna find those points of friction in play. But also don't compare your game to those games. You gotta just play them, engage with. Oh,
Upside down
hi.
now.
Um,
I'm Give me a moment,
Yep.
please.
I love it. I think that's really tricky, though. Like, do you have any tips for navigating that? Of like how to keep engaging, keep especially like when you're in the throes of it, like, without getting too locked into like, oh, this is better than what I did, or this is the productivity is higher or something like that. Do you have any tips for like navigating that kind of like line?
It's tough, but I do think that like just a part of it is find communities for design. Whether there's this one game that you really like and there's a big like player community around that, whether it's like a group of indie game designers who have a Discord server who like chat about games, whether it's just like a few people, like a little crowd of people on Blue Sky who like to talk about what they're doing. Like that's really important because in some ways, like, yes, it's like a group of people and you're also like seeing their work, but like when you're really engaging with each other and you're really like, hey, I'm working on this mechanic and what are your thoughts? And um not only are you getting a deeper insight into other people's processes, but you're also like having you're also sharing pieces of your work with other people who are probably going to then be like, hey, this is really cool, and like who are able to encourage you. And it's kind of a like you can create this um it's just like it's nice to have a group of people who you can ask questions to, who are there to like check out each other's work and encourage each other with where no matter where they are at in their like game design space. I think it is like grounding in a way, and can help you kind of like better understand, um, like can help you like um, find your own niches and like have a better respect for like where everybody is at in their own thing.
I
And oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I think it's also it's an impossible ask. Like you said, all the things we've listed
Mhm.
is like an impossible thing to do all well.
Yeah.
And you find your own mix. But the thing I'll say is like it's really, really important to do non-games things
Yeah.
too. It's like it's one of those things where it's like you get into this because you love playing games and then you make games. But if you make games as work and then play games for fun, you are always doing games and those lines get really blurry.
Yep.
So I
Mhm.
like the more you do non-game stuff, the more fun you will have when you do your play games time that then doesn't feel like work. Like, and also like this is a whole thing in so many different art forms that like the best artists are fans of all kinds of art, not just their
Mhm.
field. So like
Yes.
not fitting non-game stuff into your life is like hugely important for not burning out, and
Yep.
something I'm not good at. I want to say, like, I
I
try
was
really
gonna
hard
say,
and
like,
I'm not good at it.
I have your CV right here. I just like, I don't know about that.
Amazing. Yeah,
I
100%. Consume all kinds of media, consume different media, consume bad media. Because that, as we've said before, will inspire you in ways that you had not anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah, from someone who, from my actual play work, plays games for a living. I just got burnt out. I didn't want to play anything at home because it just felt like work.
Mhm.
So yeah, do different things.
Yeah.
Echoing everything that's already said. Yeah.
I'm very new to game design, but actual play production is my thing, and, like, I'm like that even just that, I've been like, "I never want to see another game in my life," and I'm like, "Uh-oh, uh-oh, we gotta take a step back." Um, and I think it's like this because we talk about, like, people here, like, "Oh, work-life balance," but
Yeah.
then you have, like, work-life hobby,
Mhm.
hobby work, hobby work too,
Hobby life.
uh, hobby life, and, like, that's the balance, which just seems so much more complex, right?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to reiterate something that came up where we were talking about the social aspect of game design. And we mentioned again, but I want to highlight it for the audience like things like participating in game jams or finding a
Mm.
community of other people who are just getting into game design or indie designers or like small people who are working like solo or with small groups can make it because as you said like oh you see these people with this incredible output but like it reminds me a lot of social media, how if you just look at someone's, like, Instagram feed, you're like, "This person has the perfect life," and then you meet that person, and they're like, "Every day's a struggle." And
Yeah.
and then, like, I think it's, like, it's interesting to see that same thing happening in game design, right? So it's like maybe if you meet the people and actually work with people, you'll have more realistic expectations of all of the community together,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I want to underline something you just said, which is like find the other people who are also getting started in game
Mhm.
design because like I think that helps with so many things. It helps with like burnout. It helps build your project teams. It helps you with comparison because you're going to be talking and spending time around people that are in a similar space to you in terms of like what their output is able to be in that. And like that is community, and those are the people you can easily form community with. Like it's not to say you can't become friends with people who are farther along in their career. Like I've been very fortunate to have a lot of friends at like who started around the same time I do and then have made friends who had longer careers.
Mhm.
But when you make those friends who are starting careers with you, you all understand each other and like you're
Mhm.
all cheap frankly to work together with, and you'll do work trades and like and you'll give feedback on each other's stuff. Like Sam and I like Sam got started a bit before me, but I've felt like a strong kinship with Sam as we have grown in the
Yeah,
industry along the past couple years,
for
and
sure.
like we just get on a call every couple of months, not really even to talk that much about games, just kind of to catch up and be like, how is life and like
Mhm.
things like that. And so you form that community, and that will also stave off burnout. And these are the people who, rather than you having to go read 300-page new game that has an interesting
Yep.
mechanic. They're the people who'll be like, "Oh my god, you're working on that submarine game. You should check out this game and the submersible rules they did. Like, I think that'd be great for your game." And then like you maybe never would have known that. So it's just
Mhm.
that's I can't reiterate enough how important those sorts of relationships are.
Yeah.
So
And
good.
and also the strategies that will be useful to you when you're just getting started might not be the same strategies that are useful to someone who has like a team of writers and artists on staff and things like they have different strategies that they need to
Yeah.
focus on. So you actually
Sure.
get more useful advice from people who are like in similar place too, which is nice. Um,
Absolutely.
okay, flipping to the end of things, we're making our first game. Uh,
Woo.
we talked a lot about the beginning of the process, but what about the end? And this is one thing that I struggle with. How do you know when a game's done?
I don't know if I can answer that question because I don't think mine is still. I doubt. So I pass. Can't help you.
Real.
I think like I mean there's my good friend and collaborator Viditya Valetti will kind of say that a game is never done is his perspective on it.
Yeah.
Um
Mhm.
and that was true for him until we hit print on A Land Once Magic, which is his game that he had been, working on in different iterations for 6 years.
Oh,
Like he had
wow.
made that game,
Wow.
iterated on it, play tested it, released it digitally, made hand stitch zines of it and stuff, and then we brought it to a like second edition, and this is not true for everyone, but I'm gonna apply it to your first game because I think it's important. But like when you hit print on a big print run, which
Mhm.
I'm very fortunate to at this point be ordering big print runs of the games I publish and design, that is a done moment. Like you get to a point where you're like, that's done.
Oh, I
And
wish that was a done moment for me. Oh my god.
hey, it is a version of done. You can always do a second
Oh,
print run and you can tweak stuff. It's a version of done. And I think
Yeah.
that's maybe the lesson here is like find your version of done and
Yeah.
mhm.
recognize that
Yeah.
you can pull back from done if you want. Like, but I do think, if you live in a place where this is like accessible to you, printing, even doing a small print run of something.
Mhm.
My first game, I did a print run of 50 zines, which is not a print run number that any manufacturer would tell you is a smart amount of something to print if you're going to sell it. But it was really important to me that I like make this physical object. That was part of
Mhm.
it for me. And so
Yeah.
that can be a way to say done is like it's going to be done when I, hit print. And like that could be home
Mhm.
printing too. It's like when I hit
Yeah.
print, it's physical, it's done.
I really like the piece about find your own version of done for
Yes.
sure. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yes.
really true. I think that like as the person making the game, you're almost never going to think that the game is perfect. You're always going to think that there's something that isn't maybe not quite right, maybe it could be tweaked
Mhm.
more. And like ultimately you can tweak it as much as you want, right? It's it now it partially depends on where you are in like your game design story. If you have a game that you're needing to get out to Kickstarter backers and you have a timeline on it, then at some point it has to be done. But
That's
if
one
you're
version of done.
that's
Yeah.
one version
Yeah.
of
That's
done.
the version of done.
But if it's your first game and you're trying to make it like as good as it can be, I think that I mean you'll hear this in so many different industries, but like perfectionism is the enemy.
Mm.
It's something that I have definitely struggled with in my work and that I have gotten a lot better at over the years of like moving away from perfectionism. Because if you think that something has to be perfect before it's released, it's never going to be released.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing too is that like Elliot, you just said that Venetia had like this was a second edition.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Game designers do that all the time. You can always make a second edition of a game. If you publish it and you later on you're like, I really don't like how actually this mechanic works, or even like years down the road, if you're like, hey, I really loved this concept that I made and I care about this a lot, but I feel like I've grown so much as a designer that I
Mhm.
I really think I can do so much better now. Make a new edition. No one's stopping you. There's
That's
nothing that
Yeah.
says you
literally what
can't.
I will be doing.
Go for yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
it's
100%.
so like you can all even when you press publish on something, I mean, obviously that is a done. That
Yeah.
version of
Mm.
that game is done. But it doesn't mean that you have to table that game for the rest of
Yeah.
your life. You can always pull it back out and dust it off and revisit it. Um, so which helps I think when you are fighting perfectionism. You can say
Yeah.
like, hey, this is this version of this game. I like where it's at. It's maybe there's things that can be better, maybe it's not perfect, but I like where it's at. I'm overall happy with it. Publish it, make
Yeah.
Yeah.
like play test it, publish it, put it out there. And you can always revisit it later, but especially if you're new to this, like it's really helpful to just get something out so
Mhm.
that you
Mhm.
have that feeling of like I have made this thing and I have completed this project. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I
there's a
completely agree.
oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
Yeah. There's a little game out there that has 5 editions if you ever wanna, think about the word done. Like, D&D is an ever evolving game. That game is
That's
not
a
done.
very good point.
Like, it's
That's a
like if
very
and
good
if
point.
and if Hasbro and Wizards can keep iterating on their game, you don't have to worry about done before you start asking people to play it. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
You can too.
Yeah,
Okay.
truly.
So I'm imagining the big shiny button that says to print, that signals that it's done. Okay. Um, Now we've talked about a few different things. You talked about like literally printing at home and hand stitching a zine or Kickstarters and things. But I want to just like, if you could speak a little more on like how do you actually release a game? Like, what is it? Can I just print it on my home printer and just fold it into paper airplanes and throw it into the streets? Like, what's the, what's the release process here? What goes into this?
For me, the way I released it was I did it digitally only first. So
Okay.
I didn't have to worry about printing. I didn't have to worry about the costs of that. I created the game, I illustrated it as best I could, and I put it out there on Itch, and started giving people some copies, started kind of like just talking about it, get people kind of started picking it up. And then when it kind of like I saw people were interested and they were like, I'm desperate for like a hard copy, like I can print it at home, but it's not the same. Then the kind of Kickstarter conversation started happening and then it kind of grew from there. So I definitely didn't start with the intention of I'm going straight to Kickstarter with this brand new concept. I did put it out there digitally in the world for good at least 6 months first before I did anything else with it. But that's how it was a step-by-step release for me anyway. Yeah.
I'm gonna uh, shake the premise of the question again and say
Mhm.
there's many different kinds of
Yes.
releases and
Sure.
released, I guess, and like you just defined them there, Emily, a bit of like you had your digital release day, you had your physical release. These are all moments which are great.
Mhm.
I think it's like the thing that it comes down to is like you release a game when you're ready to show it to another person or
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of maybe like a good thing when you hit public on something where people can then go find it like it's released. So it's like it's really it's a very brave thing to do. And I want to say that anyone who does it, whether you have an audience or not, it's just like hitting go live on Itch.io. Like, and sorry, to get really practical, Itch.io is how you release a game if you haven't released a game.
Yeah.
Like that's
Truly.
your
Truly.
site,
Mhm.
Yeah.
itch.io. You
Mhm.
wanna
Yep.
like that's an easy free way to put a game out.
Mhm.
Or like if it's a one pager, drop that shit as a JPEG on like social media or something. Like that's fun too. Like that's
Heck
release.
yeah.
Like it's
Heck
out there
yeah.
and you're having people look at it. So really practically Itch.io. The thing that made my career possible, if I could define a moment, was I emailed cold my local game store when I made my first game and I had that 50 zine print run and I said, hey, would you like to put some of these in your store? And
Yep.
they said yes. And like
Yep.
because they said yes, I am now doing this because I it was a vote of confidence that made me believe. So like, think about your own local community is another way to think about release. Like you don't
Mhm.
have to go into distribution on your first game, but like maybe there's a little craft shop even, or like a not doesn't
Yeah.
even have to be a game store that has local stuff and you're like, hey, could I put a stack of my zines out and you like sell them for like $5 or something? Like yeah, different kinds of releases.
My local bookstore in my little small town has, like, some, like, zine games that
I
people
love
love as
Cool.
well.
it.
There's
Love
so
it.
Yeah,
many.
Awesome.
it
People
rules.
are people are chill sometimes, y'all,
Yeah.
believe me.
Yeah. Listen, if you don't ask, you don't get. You never know. The
It's
worst they'll say is
true.
no, and then that's that.
You
Mhm.
sends out emails, you gets back emails.
Know what it is.
Ditto everyone everybody else has said.
Yeah.
It's really like, I mean, that's the crux of it. The big thing is like, as I if you're just making your first game, I super recommend making something a little bit on the shorter side that you're really
Mhm.
passionate about, that you just like make a PDF and you put it on Itch.io. Like, you don't have to do that for a first game. Many people don't do that for a first game, but if this is something that you're really interested in exploring, then it's just like the easiest way to like make something to completion and get it out there. Um,
Mhm.
and then, like revisiting with second editions, you can always revisit that PDF and be like, hey, maybe this is something that I want to make into a print game.
Mhm.
And then you can go down that road. Maybe if it's a Word document game, you're like, well, maybe I actually want to like see if I can crowdfund to hire a layout artist or something. And then you can go down that route. But you don't always have to know what the end goal is.
Yeah.
It's nice to have an idea of like realistic expectations. If you are brand new to this and you don't have an audience and you have a 300-page glorious artistic hardcover game that you really really want to make, that might be something that, I mean, if you really are passionate about it, you can go for it, but it might be something that is good to put on the back burner or to like slowly
Mhm.
work on over time as you kind of practice with these other games and build an audience with these other games. So, but yeah, I mean, based on kind of what you're doing, where you're at, you don't always have to know. The first game that I brought to print, I didn't think it was gonna be a print game when I first made it. I made it in like a I was trying to do a thing where I was making like a game a month, just for practice, just to explore it. And it was a game that I made that month, and I was like, hey, actually, I think this is pretty good, so I'm
Oh
gonna see if I
yeah.
can do more with it.
Nice.
And like that's just kind of the way that's totally a way to do it.
I really like this kind of like through line we have of like the iterative process of game making, of how like even when we talk about like the design and the collaboration and the working with
Mhm.
people and the sharing of ideas, and then the releasing at like maybe a smaller game at a smaller scale, and then you build on that. And like someone in chat was asking, they're like, how do I get feedback on my game? It's like, wait, it's got to be out there. People got to play it.
Mhm.
So however that works, through play testing or through an initial digital release of like a smaller scale, or through printing off a zine and just handing it to someone,
Mhm.
slipping it in their bag while they're not looking. Um,
We've all been there. We've all done it.
like just like, kind of doing that, and not thinking that we have to start with the 300-page beautiful art hardbound tome of there, like starting where you're at and going. And that makes it feel so much more accessible,
Yeah.
which is very exciting because I'm like, it's a thing we can do, just like us mortals. Unlike y'all who are demigods to me.
Oh no, no.
You can't stop me from fanning. So you may not believe this, but we're actually approaching the hour. We're
Oh.
coming to a wrap. So as we sign off, um, I'm going to ask you to tell these beautiful folks where they can find you on the internet, and if you have anything coming out or that you want to draw their attention to right now. And also, this is your plans for like a closing line. One piece of advice that you would give to people
Oh my goodness.
who are interested in just getting started in game design. It can be reiterating something you've already said, but it's like one little bit of advice. It can be incredibly specific and practical, or just vague and inspirational. But I'm gonna go in the reverse order of last time, so Emily, don't panic, because I see you. And I'm gonna start with Elliot. So, where can people find you online? Do you have something you want to plug right now? And also just a closing piece of advice.
Cool. You can find me everywhere online as More Blueberries. I'm at More Blueberries on several forms of social media. Moreblueberries.shop for all my games. The time we have is out as of a month today. It's a tragic 2-player zombie TTRPG that I would love it very much if you played. I'll be at PAX Unplugged in a week. If you're going to be there, booth 3850, come say hi. I'm also going to say this was done on my show once, so I'd like to try and do it. If you came here to see me, please support Anne and their show, and support and stick around, because this is a great network. I What was the second thing?
Well, that was the first two. So you're two
That
of
was the
three are
first
done.
two. Nailed
Yeah.
it.
Uh,
The last one is last piece of advice.
just
Man,
advice.
I was on
Yeah.
a roll and then I just fully skidded off the road.
It's
Um,
okay.
my last piece of advice is, and it's something we talked about towards the beginning, is just write every stupid idea down. Just
Mm.
no idea is too stupid when it first comes.
Yes. No self-censorship. We love that. Okay, thank you so much. And Sam,
Sure.
who are you? Plug something, advice.
Great. I'm Sam. Hi. Thank you for doing this. I can be found at Goblin Mixtape most places. Blue Sky, TikTok, YouTube. Um, and my website is blinkingbirchgames.com, where you can find everything. Well, not everything I've written, but everything that I publish myself that I've written. You can find there. Um, and not a lot of like, I don't have anything that I'm like just about to release, but a couple of my most recent games are, one of them is Death of the Author, which is a 1 or 2 player game where you are a character fighting for agency over your story against the will of your author. um, which is a game that had been rattling around my head for a while, and I'm really happy that it's out there. And for advice, I think that one of the biggest things, which I've kind of like already mentioned, but actually, you know what? Here's a good one, is which we've kind of talked about, but make a game for you. Make what you want, make what is passionate to you. Make what like really, really you think you would like to play and that you're really into. And don't try to think about what other people would want to play. Think about what you want to make. Because if you make what you want to make, then you're going to attract all the little freaks that also like what you like and are going to love that.
Yeah.
And like that's the best sort of thing. So make things for you.
100%.
Incredible. And next, we have Emily. 3 things. Where do people find you? Maybe you have something you want to plug right now. I don't know. And then also an advice.
I appreciate going last. It gave me time to think. So I'm Emily Greymoore. You can find me most on Blue Sky and TikTok at Emily Greymoore. I don't have a cohesive website, but all of my stuff, all my links are in my link tree, which you can find through my socials really easily. It's in my bios. Just again, Emily Greymoore. Of course, I'm always going to want to plug. If I don't smack my microphone. The Cunning Folk, yay!
So pretty.
Thank you. There is still 15 free copies as of recording this on itch at the moment, which I put up for a Halloween special. So if you want to try it out for free, there is some digital copies up there for anyone who wants to grab them. So please go ahead. They're there for you to enjoy. Spread the love, cause mischief. Please do. And my piece of advice is be kind to yourself when you are creating your games, please. Marketing is hard. And no one enjoys it. It's tough. And especially as for a first time, the likelihood of you going viral or popping off is probably really, really slim. Don't beat yourself up if your first game doesn't do that well. Mine is still slowly trucking along and picking up traction. It wasn't an overnight success either. So yeah, just be kind. You're gonna get there. You're gonna smash it eventually. You'll be good.
You can't make something that makes everyone happy. So you got to
Exactly.
make it for yourself and 5 other sickos.
Sicko.
Yeah.
That's who it's for. All right. Thank you so much for joining and sharing
Thank
all this
you.
incredible advice. This has been so amazing. Thank you so much, audience, for being here, for participating, for sharing your own thoughts. And I will see you all for our next panel next month. And with that, we can say goodbye. So goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.